Welcome into Duval Daily, presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan DeLugo. Thanks so much for tuning in here on Wednesday, January 15th. Right now, we are talking about Jacksonville Jaguars, their coaching search, coaching odds from BetUS. Some new coaching odds that have some interesting movement. Not a lot has changed, but we're going to take a look at it. Really appreciate y'all tuning in. If you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. So, the top name is still the top name. The most widely kind of agreed upon, most likely candidate for the Jaguars is Liam Coen at minus 130. That hasn't changed. Now, what has changed is Ben Johnson is also now minus 110, which means these are the two guys heavily favored. One of these two guys to be the Jacksonville Jaguars' next head coach. I think that's exciting. I think those are the two guys I've talked about the most as folks that I would like to see lead the Jaguars into this new era of Jaguars football. And I think they align with what Shad Khan's looking for. I do think he's looking for an offensive coach. I really do. I think he's looking for an offensive play caller to be head coach. I think that's what he was looking for when he hired Doug Peterson, and that's what he got partially for a little while until he didn't. And I don't think he liked that Doug Peterson was not maybe you could say he was the architect of the offense, but he was not the play caller a lot down the stretch here in Jacksonville. And I think that's part of what Shad's looking for. And I mean, just listen to his press conference. He says, we need an offense that's more creative and that's not predictable. And I think you look at Liam Coen, I think you look at Ben Johnson. They both fit right in there. I think Joe Brady does too, and he's plus 600. So it's Liam Coen minus 130 as the favorite. Ben Johnson minus 110 right behind him. Robert Saleh plus 400. Joe Brady plus 600. Joe Brady, another offensive play caller. Creative, unpredictable play caller. Aaron Glenn plus 700. McCarthy plus 1,200. I don't think you would qualify McCarthy as innovative on offense, right? But has had some level of success in the NFL, certainly. Certainly more average than anything else. Todd Monken, he's not one of these young guys. He's 56 years old, but Todd Monken absolutely would bring creativity and innovation to the Jaguars offense. Kellen Moore, I wouldn't say he's like the most innovative offensive guy, but I think that he has some very solid offensive coaching over the last several years in his few stops. And then you've got Patrick Graham, Brian Flores, and Steve Spagnuolo all at plus 3,000. So that's your list there of odds for the Jacksonville Jaguars' next head coach. We'll probably be talking about this a little bit tonight on Club Jaguar. I think the whole gang's getting together over on UCF Jaguars channel. Me, Jason from Jaguars United, Dalton, UCF Jaguar. 8:30 p.m. Be there or be square. But look, again, I do think, I've been saying this for a long time, I think Liam Coen, Ben Johnson, those are the two most likely candidates. The reason I have kind of circled Liam Coen as the most likely candidate, I think he has less leverage overall. Like there's less interested parties when it comes to him becoming their next head coach. I don't know that any other team is interviewing Liam Coen at this point. And that's not a red flag for me because, look, my evaluation, which is what I value the most, is that Liam Coen has made Will Levis look like a guy who a lot of people thought was going to be a top 5 draft pick. He leaves and Will Levis becomes a second rounder, right, at Kentucky. A guy who has a lot of experience with Sean McVay, which is a good thing because folks that have worked under Sean McVay, to be in that room, and it's the same way with Shanahan, to be in that room every day and be able to keep up mentally, to be sharp enough for Sean McVay to respect you at a high level, that takes a lot of mental acuity. And you've seen that at Kentucky. You've seen him be the offensive coordinator at Los Angeles. You saw him assistant prior to that with the Rams under Sean McVay. And then the cherry on top, The real proof of concept was this year in Tampa, where they dealt with a lot of injuries. He took their running game, which has been pretty poor for a while, and turned it into a very effective ground game. Got a lot out of that offensive line. Got as much out of Baker Mayfield as anyone ever has. Lost Chris Godwin, didn't matter. Jalen McMillan step in and do a good job, and the rest of those guys used a lot of heavy personnel, which is exciting. And I think that he knows how to communicate with the young up-and-coming kids, right? He's worked in college recently. The reason I think he's more likely than Ben Johnson is because I think Ben Johnson's being pursued by everyone out there, right? The Raiders really want Ben Johnson. I think the Bears probably really want Ben Johnson. And I think the Jaguars do as well. So I just don't know that it's as likely that the Jaguars land Ben Johnson when there's other suitors. And I think Ben Johnson, it's been talked about that he'd like to coach Jacksonville, would like to coach Trevor Lawrence, Brian Thomas Jr. But I also think he wants, and again, has leverage to kind of not necessarily bring in his own GM, but to be working with someone that he wants to work with as the general manager. And if he doesn't want to work with Trent Baalke, which I would not be surprised, Ben Johnson's a smart guy. And I'm not saying Liam Coen wouldn't be smart for working with Trent Baalke, but again, he just doesn't have as much leverage. Liam Coen might say, hey, this is my opportunity. Go work with Trevor Lawrence, Brian Thomas Jr., a lot of talent. I'm betting on myself here. I wouldn't blame him one bit for doing that. Ben Johnson, he could say, I'm going to go bet on myself in Las Vegas where I have autonomy. There's no GM in place, right? But there's also no quarterback in place. And there's not a clear path to landing one. A franchise quarterback. Chicago, again, similar to Jacksonville, there's a general manager in place. There's a hierarchy, a structure in place. And look, maybe Shad Khan really would be willing to move on from Trent Baalke if Ben Johnson said so. Maybe he would. That remains to be seen. But again, I think Liam Coen and Ben Johnson, just like the odds say, Liam Coen at minus 130, Ben Johnson at minus 110, are most likely to be the Jaguars' next head coach. Now, beyond that, which I don't think it's going to get beyond that. I think it's going to be one of those two guys. I really do. But beyond that, if for whatever reason that's not the case, Robert Saleh at plus 400, why is he so high on the list? It's because he has familiarity with the organization. It's because he is a great defensive mind. He is a leader. He got screwed in New York. I really think he did. Now, I don't think it's as likely that Robert Saleh is the head coach as Joe Brady or even Todd Monken. I think they're going to hire an offensive mind, and if they don't hire an offensive mind, it's because Aaron Glenn blew them away. But I also think Aaron Glenn is a top candidate in a lot of spots. So I would put Joe Brady ahead of Robert Saleh in the odds. I would put Todd Monken ahead of Robert Saleh in the odds. I think Robert Saleh is going to be a defensive coordinator this year somewhere. I think he's a very good coach. I think he has an opportunity to earn the right to be a head coach again in the league. But I think that they're going to go with an offensive guy. I think it's going to be Coen or Johnson. Look, if Aaron Glenn or Robert Saleh or Patrick Graham, Brian Flores, Steve Spagnuolo, if they were able to come in and outline a clear path, a clear structure to getting the offense on track, being more creative, being less predictable, I think Shad Khan would be all ears. But I don't think he's going to pick one of those guys over Liam Coen or Ben Johnson or Joe Brady or Todd Monken. I just don't. That's how I view it. That's really how I view it. I think the Jaguars are going to have an offensive head coach who's going to be a play caller. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section below. If you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. If you want to support the channel further, you can check out genjag.com/shop, pick up some new Duval gear. We have got our winter sale still going on here today. 50% off everything with code Duval. That's DUUUVAL, 3 U's there. genjag.com/shop. You can also become a channel member here on YouTube. Y'all have a good one.